EduVerse PD podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions, your on-the-go professional development. Welcome to the EduVerse PD podcast, where we explore ideas that challenge, inspire, and transform education. In today's episode, we're venturing into a truly fascinating topic: beyond awareness. Cognitive Approaches to Neuroinclusion in Education by Jane Stratton, featured in EduVerse Newsletter, Issue 23. Our AI co-hosts, Andy and Liz, will unpack how understanding the brain can help us move beyond simple awareness toward real inclusion, where every learner's mind is recognized, supported, and celebrated. Get ready for an eye-opening discussion that redefines what it means to create inclusive classrooms for all.
A special welcome to everyone listening through the EduVerse PD podcast.
Great to be here.
We've taken your source material, really dug into it, and pulled out what we think are the key insights to help you, move from just knowing to actually doing. I'm Andy.
And I'm Liz. And today, we're moving beyond just being aware of neurodiversity.
Right.
We're diving into cognitive approaches. The goal here is finding practical, measurable ways to help neurodivergent students build those core cognitive skills.
Skills they need to navigate systems that, let's be honest, weren't really designed with them in mind.
Exactly. These systems were often built for, neurotypical thinkers.
Okay, so this shift, it's crucial. We're basing today's chat on some really interesting excerpts from Cognitive Approaches to Neuroinclusion in Education. It's by Jane Stratton.
Ah, yes, Jane Stratton. She's a fantastic source for this. She comes at it from, multiple angles. Well, she's a cognitive learning specialist, founded cognitivespecialist.co.uk. And interestingly, she's Scotland's only certified practitioner of the SOI model structure of intellect. We'll get into that.
Okay.
But what really adds weight, I think, is her lived experience.
No.
She's a mother of 3 neurodivergent kids.
Ah, so she gets it, both the theory and the day-to-day reality.
Precisely. The science of building capacity and the struggle.
So the source material is pushing past the usual accommodations, isn't it? Like beyond just extra time or a quiet room.
Yeah, those are helpful, but this is about something deeper.
So what we're really after today are those actionable methods. How do we stop just sort of containing neurodivergence and actually start building cognitive potential?
Well, Stratton kicks things off by hitting on frustration I think a lot of educators feel. You see these bright kids, really capable, but they're consistently underachieving.
Right. And you see the behaviors, don't you? The distraction, the avoidance, sometimes even disruption.
Exactly. And often that's kind of where the analysis stops, right? We label the behavior, but the source argues really strongly that behind those actions, there are specific, often invisible cognitive challenges.
You mean actual functional differences?
Yes. Things like a weak short-term working memory, maybe problems with visual sequencing, or really slow processing speed, or maybe it's difficulty controlling attention, filtering out distractions.
And when those things are weak, tasks that seem simple to others,
they become overwhelming. Following multi-step instructions, organizing a project, even just tracking a discussion while trying to take notes, it's like a huge mental effort.
Okay, and that leads to the systemic issue, doesn't it? Our traditional ways of measuring don't really see this struggle.
No, not at all. Exams tell you the outcome, right?
Yep.
The student couldn't recall the facts.
But not why. Like maybe their memory just couldn't hold on to them.
Exactly. It doesn't diagnose the underlying skill gap, and behavior reports, they just log the symptoms.
Like didn't hand in the homework.
Right. Not the student's executive functions planning organization weren't developed enough to manage that week-long assignment.
And the consequence? Well, it's labeling, isn't it? Lazy, unmotivated, unteachable.
It's heartbreaking, but Stratton argues these are actual cognitive barriers, things we can identify and, crucially, things we can help improve.
That idea that we might be punishing a lack of skill, not a lack of effort, that feels like the real turning point here. So if the usual assessments miss this, what does show us that invisible landscape?
Okay, so this is where Stratton brings in the structure of intellect model, the SOI model.
Ooh, SOI?
Yeah, it's based on decades of research, originally by J.P. Guilford, and it offers a really different way to look at intelligence and learning capacity.
Okay, I know this might sound a bit technical, but our audience here is deep into professional development.
Yeah.
Can we unpack SOI a bit more? What's its scope?
Sure. So unlike your standard IQ test that might give you one overall score, SOI looks at over 90 separate cognitive skills. 90.
Okay.
It maps out a student's profile across 3 main dimensions: First, operations, that's how they think. Skills like memory, evaluation, cognition. Second, content's what they're thinking about, like visual figures, symbols, word meanings, semantic content.
Got it.
And third, products, the results of their thinking, like understanding relationships, systems, units.
90 skills, though. Why map it out in so much detail? How does knowing, say, the difference between symbolic and semantic content actually change how you teach someone?
The granularity is key. Let's say a student struggles with reading comprehension. A standard test might just say verbal weakness.
Vague.
Right. But SOI might pinpoint that the issue isn't really with semantic content understanding word meanings, but with symbolic content. Maybe they struggle to process the code of letters and sounds fluently.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't just give them vocabulary lists.
Exactly. You'd focus on training their visual and symbolic processing speed instead. It's like finding the specific faulty part in an engine, not just saying, the car won't start.
That makes sense diagnostically. But here's the challenge, right? That level of assessment, that personalized training, it sounds, well, resource heavy. Is a year-long plan based on 90 skills really feasible for every kid who's struggling in, say, a typical public school? Or is this more for select cases?
That's a really fair point about scaling it up, and the source kind of tackles this by stressing the mindset shift. The investment isn't just money or time, it's believing that capacity can be built.
Not just accommodated.
Right. The assessment is step one. Then comes this personalized training plan. Stratton calls it a training plan for the brain. Structured tasks getting progressively harder to strengthen weak spots.
So even if a school can't do the full SOI for everyone?
The principals can inform what they do, building small, targeted exercises into regular class time.
And the case study you mentioned, the zoology undergraduate, that shows the potential impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This student was, well, failing, socially withdrawn, thinking about dropping out.
Right.
His SOI profile showed real weaknesses in processing speed and organization, key skills for uni work.
And after the training.
The results were pretty dramatic. After a year of this targeted cognitive training, his follow-up assessment showed him in the exceptional range for 17 out of 30 skills they measured.
Wow. From failing to exceptional.
Yeah. Thriving, volunteering in conservation, doing well in his degree.
So the big takeaway there is?
It's about shifting focus, moving away from just looking at the behavior, the disengagement, the failure, and looking at the underlying cognitive capacity.
Replacing the label with a plan to build potential.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the power of it. Now, while SOI focuses on the individual student's skills, Stratton is smart enough to know that's only half the battle.
Right. You can't just fix the student and send them back into an environment that doesn't support them.
Precisely. You need to train the system around the learner, too. And that's where these Scothash workshops come in. Staff training focused on building systemic empathy.
Skasachach.
Okay.
And this isn't just another PowerPoint presentation, is it? Stratton uses experiential learning.
Yeah, very much so. Staff don't just get told about the theory. They actually do activities designed to simulate what it feels like for a neurodivergent student.
What kind of things? What does that feel like for a teacher going through it?
Well, the activities aim to recreate that cognitive and emotional load, the stress of sensory overload, maybe, or the frustration of getting instructions that are unclear or badly sequenced, and just that feeling of exhaustion, the constant mental effort needed just to pay attention and keep up.
Wow. There's that quote from a participant in the source. What seemed like simple activities quickly became a powerful insight into the stress and cognitive load neurodivergent students navigate daily.
It's powerful stuff. You can imagine how that kind of experience shifts the conversation.
Immediately.
Yeah.
From, why are they acting like that?
Yeah.
To, okay, how can I make this easier? How can I reduce this barrier?
Exactly. It builds real practical empathy. And that leads to actual changes. Staff come away with strategies that aren't just abstract ideas. Things like clearer ways of communicating, breaking tasks down better, being more flexible with timing, and small sensory adjustments reducing clutter, offering ear defenders.
And the article points out these changes often end up helping all the students, not just the neurodivergent ones.
Which is key for getting buy-in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes it a win-win. Okay, so let's bring this down to the classroom level. Stratton grounds this in a stark reality check.
Which is?
That basically every classroom is already neurodiverse. The stats suggest at least 1 in 5 students is neurodivergent.
1 in 5. And many of those kids might never disclose it, right? Maybe undiagnosed, maybe worried about being singled out.
Exactly. So what that means is every teacher, every single day, is teaching neurodivergent learners. whether they know it or not.
So when you see a student struggling repeatedly, forgetting things, drifting off, asking for instructions again, it's easy to jump to conclusions.
Yeah, you might think it's poor discipline or they're not focusing.
But if you start seeing those as maybe signs of weak working memory or planning issues or attention control problems,
then, as Stratton says, these invisible patterns change everything. You shift from thinking about punishment to thinking about support.
okay, so let's get really practical. The source lays out 5 actionable strategies schools can use to move beyond just awareness into actually doing something meaningful.
Right. First one, screen beyond grades.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means noticing the patterns behind the behavior or the low marks. Stop focusing only on the final grades. Start analyzing how the student got there, where the process broke down.
So it's that mindset shift again. Instead of, why won't they try? Ask.
Which cognitive skill might be holding them back here? Memory, processing speed, sequencing.
And an example, like if a student keeps mixing up there and there.
Instead of just marking it wrong repeatedly, maybe you focus on building their visual discrimination skills. Use color coding, imagery, maybe specific pattern games. Target the underlying skill.
Got it. Okay, strategy 2.
Teach how to think. This one's crucial. We need to build cognitive strategies right into daily lessons. Treat thinking skills almost like a core subject.
Okay, hold on. Isn't that just adding more work for teachers?
Yeah.
How do you realistically teach memory and focus while you're trying to teach, say, the tutors or photosynthesis?
It's about being clever with the content you already have. For example, before a history quiz, maybe spend 5 minutes playing a quick memory match game with key dates or names.
Right.
Or doing activities where they have to recall the steps of a science experiment in the right order. You're developing memory, sequencing, problem solving, using the subject matter. It actually helps the content stick better too.
Makes sense. Strategy 3.
Use clear structures. This one hits hard. So many students struggle because we rely on complex, multi-step verbal instructions.
Which is a nightmare if your working memory or sequencing skills are weak.
Absolutely. So break instructions down. Small steps. Present them visually. Let students check them off.
So instead of just saying, okay, do the experiment and hand in your work,
You'd have maybe a 5-step checklist on the board. Visually clear. 1. Form your group. 2. Get materials. List provided. 3. Run the test. Timer here. 4. Record results. Use this color. 5. Tidy up.
so they can manage it themselves step by step.
Exactly. Supports their organization independently.
Okay, 4 builds on the Skathak idea. Embed empathy in training. Make the invisible visible for the staff.
Yeah. And Stratton suggests simple but effective ways. Like in a staff meeting, ask teachers to take detailed notes on something complex while you introduce background noise. Chatter, maybe a buzzing light.
Make them feel that cognitive load.
Right. Then reflect on how frustrating that was. It quickly leads to practical ideas, quiet zones, allowing ear defenders, reducing classroom clutter. Real strategies emerge from that feeling.
And the last one, number 5.
Celebrate different operating systems. This is about shifting away from only focusing on what students can't do.
Focus on the strengths instead.
Yes. If a student, maybe with dyslexia, is brilliant at creative thinking or explaining things verbally, let them show what they know in different ways. Presentations, videos, diagrams, artwork. Don't only judge them on a poorly written essay.
And use strength-based feedback.
Definitely. Start with, you explain complex ideas so clearly, or your visual thinking here is fantastic. Then gently address the areas for improvement, like the writing mechanics. It builds confidence, which is huge. Hashtag tag shag outro. So if we pull all these ideas together, you see this kind of unified approach taking shape, don't you?
Yeah, it feels hopeful. You've got SOI, which is about building those individual cognitive skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Skathak, which is about changing the system, removing barriers through empathy and staff training.
It feels like a genuinely powerful way forward for inclusion.
And it really connects to those Edu Expo themes Stratton mentioned in the article, doesn't it? Reimagine, rethink, reinvent teaching and learning.
Absolutely. Because true inclusion isn't about trying to force neurodivergent kids into a neurotypical box.
No, it's about giving them the tools, helping them build the capacity.
And creating the environment.
So they can find their own way to succeed.
You know, true education, the kind that goes beyond limits. It starts when we really choose to see what's often unseen, to understand that invisible struggle. And then, crucially, to focus on unlocking potential, not just managing or containing difficulties.
So thinking about those 5 practical strategies we talked about, screening beyond grades, teaching how to think, using clear structures, embedding empathy, and celebrating different operating systems. Here's the question for you listening. Which small, consistent shift could you make starting next week? A shift that could really transform the learning environment for that 1 in 5 student who might be quietly struggling right now.
That's the real challenge, isn't it? Moving beyond awareness into action.
It really is.
We hope this has given you plenty to think about and explore further.
We'll catch you next time.
What an enlightening conversation on neuroinclusion and the power of cognitive approaches in education. A big thank you to Andy and Liz for guiding us through Jane Stratton's inspiring ideas from Beyond Awareness. Cognitive Approaches to Neuroinclusion in Education, featured in EduVerse Newsletter, issue 23. If you'd like to explore the full article and more thought-provoking reads, visit our website to download the latest issue at www.proed.com.vn/eduverse. And remember, EduVerse is built on sharing voices that matter. If you have innovative ideas or experiences to contribute, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode of the EduVerse PD podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions.